I hope you're okay. I'm Mr. Beat, okay? Hey, speaking of okay, the 8th President of the United States, Martin Van Buren, is a big reason why we say okay. It's true, Buttercup. You see, one of Van Buren's nicknames was Old Kinderhook. You know, because he was from Kinderhook, New York, and he was, old. Anyway, in 1840, when Van Buren sought a second term as president, his supporters formed Old Kinderhook Clubs, or OK Clubs for short. OK Club members began regularly using the term OK. While they didn't invent the word, it actually was invented the year before in a Boston newspaper, they definitely popularized it. That was a fun fact, eh? And this is probably not breaking news to you, but I'm a big fan of presidential facts. Heck, I even carry my facts and fun about the president's book around with me everywhere I go in case, you know, I need to inform my friends about random facts about American presidents. Andrew Jackson loved to chew tobacco. When he moved into the White House in 1829, he ordered spittoons for the parlors. Ulysses S. Grant smoked 20 cigars a day. Yeah, they love it. Anyway, due to this, I thought it would be fun to make an iceberg chart of presidential facts. Whoa, what's an iceberg chart? Okay, Boomer. Look, I know what an iceberg chart is, but you might want to explain it to all the normies out there. You mean the folks who actually touch grass every once in a while? Yeah. All right. Fine. It's a meme that blew up a couple years ago, which is why I am just now all into it. I'm usually 2 years behind trends, okay? The iceberg image is supposed to represent all knowledge about a subject. Iceberg charts are broken into tiers to categorize that knowledge. The iceberg is a metaphor. As you likely know, most of the massive icebergs are hidden under the surface of the water. So the metaphor is, there is a huge hidden depth of knowledge for any given subject. And indeed, since most people know very little about a lot, and a lot about a little, most of our knowledge about most subjects is up here. However, these lower tiers below the surface are examples of stuff that only experts on a subject know about. The deeper the tier, the more obscure the knowledge. Did I explain it well enough? I guess. You're kind of mediocre at explaining stuff. You might want to get a new job. Dang, that was harsh, Matt.
That was harsh, Matt.
Anyway, so I made a U.S. presidential facts iceberg chart, and so did Drew Durnell, the famous YouTuber who, according to Wikitubia, has hair that looks like a paintbrush. We recently revealed our iceberg presidential facts charts to each other to get our reactions. But before we get into that, this video is sponsored once again by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Remember the old days when we used actual printed maps when we wanted to go on road trips? Now we have navigation built into our cars, for goodness sake. Things are so much easier. And things are also easier now when submitting a claim when you have an injury, thanks to Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan is the largest injury law firm in the United States, with more than 100 offices nationwide and more than 800 lawyers. With over $15 billion recovered for clients, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. Submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan is so easy, it's more like ordering takeout than hiring a lawyer. You don't even have to get up from the couch. In fact, you can do it in 8 clicks or less. So if you're ever injured in an accident, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/MrBeat or dial #law or #529 from your cell phone. Thanks to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this video. So let's go back all the way to the year 2023. When Drew Durnell and I first shared our U.S. presidential facts iceberg charts with each other.
It was good times.
So we both independently made an iceberg chart and we chose presidential facts that we dug up. I will say, I actually have this book here from my childhood. I literally got this in the 3rd grade, and I even referenced it when I made my iceberg chart. So that's what you're competing with.
I'm really scared, Mr. Beat. because I have a feeling that you have probably seen all of these facts before, and I just think that it's going to be mostly just repeated information for you, but hopefully at least for some other people, they'll be like surprised by some of the things that I was able to find.
That's okay. I mean, I'm literally known as the president's guy on this platform. Actually, researching for this video, I found out things I didn't know.
Oh, really? I'm just hoping that I'll have one thing here that you wouldn't have heard of before, so we'll see. So we're starting off at the top level, and because it's the top level, it's got to be like really basic information, right?
Yeah, just so everyone knows, we only did the 6 tier. Some people do like
18 tier?
100?
Yeah.
Okay, top tier. I put up there Joe Rogan. Because this tier represents the average Joe.
Ah, perfect.
Abraham Lincoln was president during the Civil War. George Washington was the first president. I mean, we learned that in elementary school. And Obama was the first African-American president, which most of us lived through that, so.
Yes. For mine, so I still have the same sort of basic information that everybody knows, but I tried to make it a little bit okay, so my first one is Andrew Jackson is on the $20 bill. So that's something that I think people can know. Second one is Joe Biden is the oldest to be elected.
Oh yeah, good one. Yeah.
And then I got Abraham Lincoln was shot in a theater. Yeah, I'm hoping that most people would know that information already.
I don't know. You were more creative than I was with this top tier, actually. These first 2 tiers above the water are just so boring, you know?
Yeah, I want to make it a little funner. Okay, so the second tier.
Okay, I had Conan O'Brien here because he doesn't necessarily know a lot about American presidential history from what I can gather, but he's a history fan. So this is your average person who's maybe they're a fan of history as well, so they know a little bit more. Conan O'Brien would know that Nixon was the only president to resign. He also would know there have been 4 presidents that have been assassinated while in office: Lincoln, Garfield, McKinley, and JFK. And he'd know that Franklin Roosevelt was the only president to serve more than 2 terms. But again, boring.
I no, that's like if you told me really quick the 4 presidents who were assassinated, I don't think I would have been able to name them like really fast. I think it would have taken me a second to really think about it. So, all right. So for my second tier, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson died on the same day.
Not only did they die on the same day, they died on the 50th birthday of the country on July 4th, 1826. Pretty cool.
Teddy Roosevelt gave a speech after being shot. That one could be like, I'm not sure how much the public would know about that, but if you're in like the meme sphere, I feel like that is always memed because of how, Chad Teddy Roosevelt was for getting shot and still giving a speech. So I review memes about that constantly. So that's why I put it in my second tier. And then finally, FDR used a wheelchair. So I'm noticing because of the different worlds that we're in, my tiers are going to be a little bit more different. So I see memes about the tier 2 stuff all the time, but maybe the general public doesn't always see that stuff because they're not so in the meme universe. You know what I mean? So
I almost put in tier 2 the FDR in a wheelchair thing, actually.
Yes, because he kept it from the media, and it was he tried to keep it under wraps. But nowadays, I feel like a lot of people know about it. Maybe not everybody, but
tier 3, we're going underwater. Hold your breath.
All right.
Oh, first of all, that dude, do you recognize that guy?
I've seen his face before, but I'm not sure.
That is Steve Kornacki. He is one of my favorite political pundits when it comes to both presidential and midterm elections.
Is that the guy that usually has the map and he's doing like the, like when there's a presidential election and he's showing off the electoral college and he's doing that? Like, is he one of those guys?
Yeah.
That's how I know him. Yes. I would love to be that guy one day.
Oh, it's like a dream job. But anyway, yeah, so he would know that Ronald Reagan was a famous actor before entering politics. Yep, Reagan was a Hollywood star for decades before first becoming the governor of California in 1967. He would also know that more presidents have come from both Virginia and Ohio than any other state. 8 presidents are from Virginia: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, Zachary Taylor, and Woodrow Wilson. Indeed, 7 of the first 12 presidents were from Virginia. Ohio is close behind, though. 7 of the next 17 presidents were from the state: Ulysses Grant, Rutherford Hayes, James Garfield, Benjamin Harrison, William McKinley, William Taft, and Warren Harding. James Buchanan. He would know that he was the only president not to marry.
I was so close to putting that into my tier list, but I did not. So that's funny that you brought that up. Yes, that's good.
As I brought up in this video, some even speculate that Buchanan was sexually attracted to men, not women.
Okay, so for my tier below the surface, I have Van Buren was the first president born in the United States. You know what I mean by that? Like officially,
Yeah.
1782, I think, is when he was born. You can tell me if you know about this one, Mr. Beat. John Hanson could technically be considered the first U.S. president under the Articles of Confederation, or so. I have seen, you know, some people argue like he's the first, I don't know.
To be clear, I don't consider John Hanson a president because under the Articles of Confederation, the country didn't even have an executive branch. He was the president of Congress, man.
And the third thing is John Quincy Adams approved a voyage to the center of the earth. People thought that he was a hollow earther, but he wasn't. But he approved in those days, they thought the earth was hollow, and he did approve a voyage to go to the center of the earth. Obviously, they never did that, but...
Holy crap, I didn't know about this. You
Okay.
already stumped
Okay, good.
me.
Okay, that's all I needed. So there are facts on the internet that are claiming that John Quincy Adams was a hollow earther, but I don't think that's true. I think he just approved it for political purposes, but he didn't believe that it was going to go anywhere in the first place.
Oh, wow, that's like a scandal.
Yeah, yes.
He's a hollow earther.
I know.
Yeah, I looked this up later. It's totally true. I can't imagine what the 6th tier is going to be like if you put that in the 3rd
Oh my
tier.
goodness. No, you definitely know some of the things that are going to come up, I think, so.
4th tier, JJ McCullough. These are
JJ.
things that he would know. Now, I will say JJ, he's Canadian, but he knows American history impressively well. More than the vast majority of Americans, I would argue.
Absolutely.
Like, he will just message me a random presidential fact that I didn't know, so that's why I put him on here. Also, the whole idea of doing this video was JJ's idea, so another
Shout out
to JJ for recommending this, because I thought it was a brilliant idea. Anyway, Andrew Jackson had a bullet stuck in his chest for most of his life, so that was one of the duels that he was in. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that one.
Okay.
Yes.
A dude named Charles Dickinson apparently talked trash about Andrew Jackson's wife, Rachel. And as all American history junkies know, you just don't talk trash about Rachel Jackson, or Andrew Jackson will try to kill you in a duel. Indeed, he killed Dickinson in a duel on May 30th, 1806. However, Dickinson had also shot Jackson, since Jackson had apparently let him shoot first. The bullet missed Jackson's heart by little more than an inch. While it shattered his breastbone and rib cage, it didn't threaten infection. Doctors said if he tried to remove the bullet, it would certainly cause him to die, so he just left it in his chest for the rest of his life, even though it often caused him tremendous pain. Bill Clinton was the first president to have an email address.
Ooh, I should have known that, but I never officially knew.
I mean, you could probably guess that, though,
Yeah,
right?
I could guess it. Yeah, just the time period and things. When was the email rolled out? Couldn't it have been George H.W. Bush?
It could have been, but he was afraid of technology. So yeah, 1993 was when Clinton was in there. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Cool. Bill Clinton was also president when the White House launched its first website. We talked about this, I know you knew this, but John Quincy Adams regularly went skinny dipping in the Potomac River. Sometimes other people would join him. He's like, yeah, come in, take your clothes off and join me in the Potomac. I'm sorry to put the image of a naked John Quincy Adams in your head, but it's absolutely true. JQ was an excellent swimmer and apparently skinny dipped in the Potomac quite regularly throughout his life.
Something that I noticed that was funny creating this Iceberg meme challenge with you is that it was hard to not just put everything about John Quincy Adams, because he just has so many weird things that he was doing.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, I could fill this whole thing out with just his stuff. I have John Quincy Adams kept an alligator in his bathroom. Did you know about that, Mr. Beat?
As it turns out, I did know that because I mentioned it in my presidential pets video. Hey, check that one out.
For my second one, I have Dwight Eisenhower wanted to assassinate the squirrels by the White House. You know about this. He asked the Secret Service to get rid of all the squirrels because they were messing with his golf game, right?
Yep. As you may remember in my Dwight Eisenhower video, Ike was a pretty big golfer, and these squirrels were digging out his putting green at the White House. He once said, the next time you see one of those squirrels go near my putting green, take a gun and shoot it.
For my third one, I have, maybe I should have put this one lower. Let's see if you know this one, Mr. Beat. Paraguay loves Rutherford Hayes, possibly more than anyone here in the U.S. And do you know?
Yep.
Oh, you already knew this, and you know why? Because the Paraguayan War. They have a whole district in Paraguay named Presidente Rutherford, I believe, something like that.
Also, shout out to Emperor Tiger Star, who has a whole video about why that is. Rutherford Hayes played a big role in negotiations in a border dispute between Paraguay and Argentina that ultimately gave Paraguay 60% of its land. Yeah, there's statues of him everywhere, apparently, in the country as well.
So crazy, so crazy. I just had learned about that recently, so I'm just like, wow, this is amazing.
Fifth down. Yeah, this tier is that guy is his name is Mr.Beat.
Yes.
This is stuff that I knew already that I would say that a lot of people don't know. Sorry, JJ. It's not that I'm smarter than you, because you're a smarter guy than me overall, but I think I might have a slight edge on you when it comes to presidents.
I mean, you live in the U.S. He doesn't. You have a home field advantage. You should. You should, Mr. Beat. If you don't, that's really bad. But hopefully, you know what I mean?
All right. So anyway, Teddy Roosevelt drank a gallon of coffee every day.
Did not know that. Why is that, I wonder?
If you think about it, this one makes perfect sense, considering how much that dude got done in an average day. Gerald Ford almost played professional football in the NFL.
I think I have seen
You
a
know
photo
about
of
that?
that, yeah.
It's well known that Ford played football for the University of Michigan, but what's less known is that he turned down offers from both the Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers to play in the NFL, instead going to law school and coaching. And you probably knew this one. Richard Nixon loved rap and dreamed of becoming a rapper.
I did not know that. That is crazy. Yeah, yep. I love that fact, though. That's like my new favorite fact. So what's the origin of that? Do you know?
They didn't know it until after he died. Apparently, they were going through some old recordings in the 90s after he died.
Okay, I will start to promote this because I'm not seeing nearly enough information about this.
I have often thought that if there had been a good rap group around in those days, I might have chosen a career in music instead of politics. Yeah, that's an actual quote from Nixon. I imagine if he did pursue a rap career, his stage name definitely would have been Tricky Dick.
This should be everywhere. Okay, so the fifth tier down, I have, okay, let's just start with this. I'm just going to say Lyndon Johnson's Jumbo. Do you know about this? Do you know Jumbo?
Private
yes.
part?
Yes, this is the name of Lyndon Johnson. Yeah, it had a name. I don't know. His name Jumbo. I guess we won't get into that anymore. But that was just like, I only put those three words, Lyndon Johnson's Jumbo. Next up, George Washington's teeth might have been made out of animal teeth and other human teeth, specifically slaves.
I've actually seen his teeth in person a couple times at Mount Vernon. They have it there.
All I know is it's not just wood, right? We all thought it was just wood, but it's possible that there's probably a plethora of things that went into those dentures back in the day.
Yeah, the wooden teeth thing is the myth.
Yeah.
But other, also ivory, gold, and lead.
They were just kind of throwing whatever they could in there. They were just like, put that in, that could be a tooth.
He lost all his teeth like when he was your age.
Dang.
Like he had already lost all of his teeth, yeah.
Regardless, it must have worked. He was good guy, good president, you know?
At Mount Vernon, they actually don't say this, but after further research, yeah, it appears that some of his teeth did come from former slaves, apparently.
The third fact, okay, again, 3 words. It's Jimmy Carter's urine. And that is because at one point, I guess it was radioactive. Have you heard about this, Mr. Beat?
No.
He had, I guess he had jumped into some sort of radioactive water or something like that. And so for like a week there, I guess his urine was radioactive.
Wow. Why was he jumping in radioactive water?
I think it was accidental. I think it was really young.
I looked it up later, and the reason why he had radioactive urine was actually quite impressive. While Carter was in the Navy, he helped clean up a nuclear reactor that had a partial meltdown. He later said he had radioactive urine for 6 months after that. But hey, Jimmy Carter is still kicking today at 98 years old, so I guess what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? That's the second one you stumped me on. The thing I always like to tell about Jimmy Carter is how a rabbit once attacked him when he was in a boat fishing. This is while he was president. Speaking of Jimmy Carter, and before we get into Jimmy Carter here, the guy on the right there, his name is Douglas Brinkley. He is a presidential historian. He knows everything you could possibly know about any president. This guy is underrated when it comes I'm not worthy, Douglas. He would definitely know that Jimmy Carter could read 2,000 words a minute. Although I will say that was allegedly because that's what Jimmy said at one point, 2,000 words a minute with 95% comprehension. comprehension, which is insane. It's like speed reading. Hey, James Madison, we talked about his height, but he also only weighed 100 pounds. Today, the average American male weighs about twice that amount.
He's a tiny man.
And I actually went down a rabbit hole for this one. Thomas Jefferson, I'm pretty sure he was the first American to grow and eat a tomato.
Wow.
The tomato's kind of a big freaking deal.
Yes.
Like, imagine this country without the tomato.
You can't even do it. Thomas Jefferson brought us pizza. Basically.
Jefferson grew at least 330 different types of vegetables and 170 different types of fruits at Monticello.
Okay, so for my last tier, I have JFK's missing brain. Did you know about this?
One of the conspiracy theories, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, all we know is we just don't have his brain anymore. Like, someone just...
It was kind of chaotic when they were trying to get his body afterward or something. I don't know. Do you know about that?
I do also love JFK conspiracy theories so much, but I don't know exactly the reasoning. We had the brain for a little bit, and I guess like a month or two later, supposedly it just disappeared.
I looked it up later, and apparently there is some evidence that maybe John F. Kennedy's younger brother, Robert, maybe took his brain.
I have Nixon used to drive his wife on dates with other men.
Wait, say again?
Nixon used to drive his wife to dates with other men. Now, like, that is a very clickbaity way to phrase this, but when Nixon first met his wife, it wasn't his wife, it was just a girl that he liked. She wasn't interested, I guess, for the first 6 months. He would drive his wife to dates with other men just so that he can get more time to talk with her. And eventually, I guess that ended up working. That strategy ended up working because eventually she picked Nixon, and they got married and everything.
I had no idea. I went to the Nixon library when I was out there in California last summer. A bunch of us history tours did, and that wasn't brought up at the museum.
And the final fact I have is that Bill Clinton might be a brony. A brony is a person that really enjoys My Little Pony.
Yeah, I
And,
have not heard about this.
He was on maybe some sort of NPR interview or some interview back in 2011, and he was asked 3 questions about the show My Little Pony, and he got all of them correct.
It's true. Bill Clinton called in to Wait, Don't Tell Me. Peter Sagal expected to stump Clinton with these My Little Pony questions, but Bill got them all right, surprising everyone.
So, a lot of the speculation has been, he is one of the a brony is an overly obsessed fan of My Little Pony.
Or maybe just Chelsea Clinton was a big fan.
Maybe that too. Maybe too. We don't know. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, so you got me on 3 at least.
Nice.
How many did you not know of mine?
Oh, actually, quite a bit. Once we got past your 3rd tier, several of that, this was a very good learning experience for me, for sure.
Yours were way more interesting than mine. Mine are so, I'm such a boring teacher, I swear. I'm like, well, let's focus on stuff that's more important.
It's only because I can phrase the phrases in a clickbaity way, so, you look more into it, you dig more into it.
Thanks for joining me here. Everyone subscribe to Drew Durnell. It's Durnell, right? Not Durnell.
It is Durnell. It is Durnell. At least that's how I've been told to say it the whole time.
Who told you how to pronounce your last name?
My grandma. So I don't know.
What if your grandma's making it up?
Yeah, she could be. She totally could be.
In the description of this video, you should find 2 links. One that goes to a sticker and another that goes to a notebook that you can buy. Both feature my U.S. presidential facts iceberg chart. Thank you to Drew Durnell for collaborating with me for this video. He's also releasing a video on his channel that you can check out at the same time as this one. Drew is such a nice guy. I love that dude. What's your favorite obscure presidential fact? Let me know down below. I hope you have the best President's Day ever, and thank you for watching.